If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. It's Mike, Brook, and Mac here. Another Cleveland Browns podcast, talking free agency, more on the draft, more on the Browns, more on the vibe. Nice, mild day here in Cleveland. I love the humidity. So then, of course, we begin the roller coaster. Snow, then 70, then rain, then wind. So you get everything in March in Cleveland. So, Brooke, what are we talking about today?
Free agency.
We're going to have Mac take the lead, throw the pitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of I'll just give you guys a recap, and anybody who's listening here what the Browns have done so far. One of our big signings, we got Quincy Williams from the Jets. He's replacing Devin Bush, who signed with the Bears.
Oh, wow, that's real new. That just happened?
Yeah, Bush signed with the Bears
Last night.
They gave him a 3-year, $30 million, 21 guaranteed.
Wow. Well, hey, let's give some kudos to Andrew Berry, because he picked Devin Bush a couple years ago, right? And he was going nowhere. And they kind of, read through the tea leaves. Yeah, it was injury. He was in the right situation. He wasn't getting his reps. He was kind of down, and they reclamated him. Is that the right word?
Yeah, reclamation project. And that's a pure Cleveland Guardians move. That's what they do. They pick these guys off the trash and they get them working with, the pitching coach, the whole Guardians organization, and they've been doing that for years. So good for Devin Bush. He played well. He was in a good scheme. He had a good front four, right? So that's got to make his job easier. Tell me, go ahead, Brooke. Yeah, Mac, you were saying that Quincy from the Jets, his linebackers coach at the time when he thrived as our new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was an all-pro, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, he had kind of does a thing where he has a good year, a bad year, a good year, a bad year. 2023, he had an all-pro season. Just kind of a scouting report on the guy. He's a good pass rusher, pretty solid in the run, struggles a bit in the pass. But, I mean, there's definitely potential there. He's athletic. Maybe putting him with Carson could help him out.
Okay, well, the $1 million question is, JOK, is he done for a career? Can you imagine a JOK joining Carson?
Well, there was a report that I think Mary Kay put out that it's highly doubtful that he ever plays football again.
Okay.
But then JOK got on Instagram and was basically like, that's news to me. I don't think he'll be back for this season.
Okay.
I hope he does end up being able to play again, but
all right. Yeah. They got to figure he's not coming back, so.
But Schlesinger, I mean, defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Pair him with a linebacker who knows the system that our new DC's at. I think the bigger thing that kind of going back to the Andrew Berry thing was, his ability to pick up guys, trade guys, and then just see the value of them a couple years down the road is the trade sending. Who's that cornerback we traded to?
Oh, yeah.
Jacksonville.
Greg Newsome.
Greg Newsome.
Great move.
And then Jags didn't sign him. And then he signed a 1-year prove-it deal with the Giants.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a good example of Andrew Berry. I think he's very savvy about, this guy's contract is nearing. I'm going to trade him for someone that I can control for a couple more years.
Well, and that makes me feel good. Can we get a three-dimensional guy, as the GM and not, I'd feel real good if I knew the ultimate question, where was Andrew Berry on the Deshaun thing?
Was that a Jimmy thing? Was that a Paul DePodesta thing? Or is Andrew just kind of going along to get along sort of thing? But if I would feel real good if Andrew had his doubts, but maybe didn't speak up. And obviously coming up, I like what the moves he's made. I thought that Greg Newsome move was fantastic. I thought these pickups, the 2 O-line guys, you want to go to the next one, Mac?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so another free agent we got, I believe one of the 2 so far, is Zion Johnson from the Chargers. Gave him a 3-year, about $50 million contract.
I think that was a good pickup. I think it was, from what I've been hearing, the guy has been an Iron Man, kind of like a Batonio. I mean, he's not getting hurt, not getting concussed. Of course, he hasn't played in Cleveland yet,
Which leads to the next thing is, I'm pretty sure Joel Batonio, there's rumors that he's going to the Chargers.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I mean, he's from Southern California, so I
Okay.
think he's always wanted to play near his family.
Yeah, who wants to play in the sleet, in October?
So he'll probably announce, I mean, I think like his contract, there's some sort of contract end date today. So,
You'll
there's-
know.
I mean, I think everyone's assuming that he's not playing here anymore, but you get Zion, you got that trade we made with the Texans. I think there's a really good chance that our center is going to be Whippler.
Luke Whippler.
So,
We may take a center in the draft, right?
I mean, I think you're going to tackle.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not talking first round. I mean, I don't think there's any. Who was that guy that Mangini picked first round center, Ohio State? Mac.
Oh, Alex Mack.
Alex Mack ended up being all pro forever, it seemed. There's no Alex Mack there, but you can get. I just hope they just go heavy on linemen.
Well, it's comforting to know day 2 free agency that 3 out of the 5 spots on the offensive line have been solved.
Yeah.
Solved meaning we've got 3 guys who we feel comfortable with.
Right.
And you're probably going to use your first pick, either on a tackle or receiver.
Yeah. All right. Who's our next guy, Mac?
And then really our only move, Brook briefly touched on it, was the trade for Titus Howard,
Yeah, okay.
Texans tackle.
Yeah, that seemed like another good, solid pick. Nothing sexy, not overpaying, not getting desperate, not paying the Cleveland Browns tax. Let me just get back to that Jets guy we got. I'd be wondering on his off year what was going on with the Jets, because sometimes if you're in a dysfunctional situation, a bad head coach, bad organization. I mean, everybody's on Jimmy Haslam shit, but look at the owner of the Jets, Woody Johnson, hanging out with Epstein. Really? I mean, you couldn't get a more dysfunctional guy. You know what? I think if Batonio announces he's coming back for one more year, that's going to speak volumes of Todd Monken. Because again, we talked last week about Kevin Stefanski being the lowest graded head coach in the NFL.
Oh,
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, that reminds me. Quinshon Judkins had a good quote. I don't know if you saw that.
I did, yeah.
If you could read it, I think Mac should read it out loud, but it's basically Quinshon talking about the difference between Stefanski and Monken after a couple of interactions. I think it just kind of speaks volumes of what was going on in that locker room last year with Stefanski.
Oh, I can't wait for Atlanta, for him to lay an egg in a game, and then the Atlanta fan base can get a taste of what I got to coach better. This is on me. Oh my God. I'm going to enjoy that so much. That will be, you know what? Can we, Mark, can you insert, I got to coach better, I got to coach better, I got to coach better. Just insert that through the whole podcast. So just remind us, and then back it up with fingernails on a chalkboard. Follow that up. That would be, yeah.
Okay. Like we talked about yesterday, disappointed. Games get away from you in the NFL when you don't perform at your best, especially on the road, especially versus a good football team. And, the game got away towards the end of that first half. They were able to double dip. And then, we just didn't do enough things offensively, defensively, special teams to stay in that game. So ultimately extremely disappointing. We have to play better. We have to coach better. We got to own that one together. But with that, I'll take any questions.
So I do have the quote here. Judkins is on a podcast. I forget who the host was, but said, I believe they asked him on the new coach, and he said, honestly, not what I thought it would have been, but I say that in a good way because my past coach, he was really even-keeled, super quiet. I thought I was going to get that from Coach Monken, but it wasn't that. He's a real players coach. He was super communicative of what he wanted from the team, what his goal is, what his objective is, what he wants to come in and do. He knows exactly what he wants and has a vision. I think that's what's important as a head coach, especially being vocal about it too. I think that's what matters.
Yeah.
What we've been saying,
We've been saying, I've been talking about this all year for a good year. For some Browns, it's not just the Browns losing, but how they lose. Giving up 2 special team touchdowns to the Jets. I mean, that's got to be demoralizing. And you got to look at this guy who's coming over from the Jets, this linebacker. I mean, can you imagine losing games like that to the Jets? You're shutting them down, and then your special teams is blowing up. Yeah. And then you got to listen to your head coach but even keel. And how about throwing a few chairs in the locker room? How about firing some people? How about putting Jerry Jeudy on the bench after he drops, passes? But again, I've been a broken record on this. I think everybody out there who's analyzing in the NFL, what I've been struck by, they have never met a payroll. They have never run an organization. They have never had to fire somebody. Maybe they've gotten fired, but, Monken was a head coach, right? In college?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he was offensive coordinator for Georgia. I know that.
Yeah. I was about to say, and then I stopped myself. Yeah, but it was at, some other college. But at the end of the day, you're managing a staff. You're setting a playbook and you're holding players accountable. I don't give a shit if it's the NFL or at,
exactly
some community
Pee-wee
college.
football, right? Or community. So. But I mean, think about it. The Brown coaches, head coaches, and again, broken record Mike here, have been terrible. And look at one, let's just go down the list of people: Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Hugh Jackson, Kevin Stefanski before he joined the Browns. None of them had a track record of running anything and making it better. None of them. Now, Stefanski had, 2 good years. I mean, I think the last coach of the year, I mean, you look at some of those games, they were lucky. They were like the Commanders last year. I mean, they're playing teams in sleet and cold, and their place kicker makes the balls bounce in the right way. They won some games, and it all came back. They all came back this past season. Were those games they won the year before? Last season they lost, starting with the Bengals. Missed a field goal. We get that field goal, we win, right?
Yeah.
So the point I'm making, we have not hired a Bill Parcells type coach who has a proven track record of winning, turning around programs. We hire guys who look good on resumes. They were an offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, defensive coordinator, Eric Mangini, but they're not head coaches. So
I think the biggest takeaway, and I do agree with you on that, is I think in the past, the Browns hired coaches that talking heads and other sports media platforms are like, oh yeah, that's a good pick. That makes sense. Pat Shurmur, Freddie Kitchens, Stefanski, Hugh Jackson. I think what's kind of refreshing, and I was guilty of this when they hired Monken. I was like, what? Like that guy? And then I remember I was watching the Combine and Monken was being interviewed. I think it was with Mike Florio or some guy on like Pro Football Focus or NBC Sports. And Monken, sat in, he talked to them, and then Monken left. And the guys, pretty, big time sports talking heads, were like, I think the Browns got it right.
yeah, I think I saw that Florio.
He's got kind of this like vibe about him that's like, yeah, like he's no bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's refreshing. And I think that was kind of why I thought it was refreshing at the time, at least when they hired Freddie, was because he was kind of like, he's kind of like a sheriff. He kind of shoots from the hip. Well, when that's working, it's fun. And when it's not working, it's like, this is a disaster.
Freddie was another guy who never ran anything. He was offensive coordinator under Greg Williams. And Greg Williams was a great kind of chairman of the board type coach. He put organization and let Freddie thrive. Baker thrived under Freddie when Freddie was offensive coordinator. But again, head coach, I think the powers that be, the so-called smart Harvard people, and I'm hoping Andrew Berry is not that type who has a more horizontal view and who's grown in the job. Fingers crossed. They don't really understand the Peter principle in head coaching. The Peter principle is you get promoted to your level of incompetence. Yeah, so what? You're a great defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. You're this young genius guy, right? How many of those people have failed? And then you look at the X factor with Todd Monken. You look at the X factor of Vince Lombardi, Parcells, these people. There's Sean Payton. They just come in, and I can relate to this a little in my own little company here. 50 years of doing this. When you have 50 years, you have so much experience to draw on. And you know when to step in and when to step back. When to let these guys do, they might fail, but they're going to fail. It's not going to be a catastrophe. Okay? It's like we hired this guy, Liam. Let's try him out for a day. Could be a winner here, right? But that takes a lot of experience at a head coach, you're the ultimate decision maker level. And for a Monken to be a head coach and turn a program around, they won 3 games. Next year they won 7 games. Next time they're in a bowl game. That speaks volumes. And then you think of Hugh Jackson, and this is what I've said in a couple podcasts. Hugh Jackson was toxic in Oakland. Toxic. I mean, you talk to any beat writer. He lost the locker room. He almost blew up the Raiders. And he's coming over to Cleveland. What are they not seeing here? So I'm encouraged with Monken. And I'm especially going to be encouraged. I think Monken's fingerprints are slightly or maybe overtly on this free agency. I think he's got Monken's weighing in. Warhop, what's that guy's name? The line coach? Warhop.
He's from the Ravens.
From the Ravens. That's like Bill Callahan. Bill Callahan and Stefanski. Bill Callahan's whispering in Stefanski's ear, we should take this guy from Buffalo. who's on the waiver wire named Wyatt Teller. They made him into Hall Pro.
I think, well, one thing that I've definitely heard, and the more I thought about it as a young person, is
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message. And guess what? We'll call you back.
I think Bill Callahan's exit was a lot more impactful than just the offensive line.
Yeah.
I really think, and there's some people who said this, that, you know, Stefanski really relied on that kind of older, been around the block presence. And when that was gone, I don't think Stefanski really had anyone to, you know.
You know what? I think in our culture, we're just so mesmerized by the young, bright geniuses. And there's a place for that. But I think the right mix is old and young. I really do. And having a mix of voices in the room. And I think Callahan, you know, he's at a certain age. I could speak as a guy, when you get to be a certain age, you really don't give a shit anymore. You know, oh, they're not going to like me if I say that? Who cares? Really? Call a customer, say no, we're not doing that. You know, and that's your experience. Because 30 years ago, you would have just kind of bent like a reed blowing in the wind. Now you're not doing that. And I think the mistakes that a lot of young coaches, young people make, they don't ask enough questions of the older people. Now, you can ask questions. Doesn't mean these older people are going to give you the answer, but just listening to them, how they formulate the answer. And as I've said many times, that concept of, I'll take your advice as long as you tell me how you screwed up. Because there's probably 10 screw-ups associated with one brilliant move. Easily. Okay, Kevin Stefanski, let's sit down. Here's your first, let's go back in time. So tell me about some of your screw-up.
Well, I'm sure he was asked that when he was being interviewed.
I don't think he was.
Oh, no.
I don't think they asked that question.
No way. They definitely were like, hey, let's talk about it.
Hey, Andrew, if you're out there listening to this, send me a secret email. Is this question really asked? Or is this one of those sort of McKinsey?
So you're hold on. So you're telling me that you don't think the Atlanta Falcons asked Kevin Stefanski, so tell me what happened when you were in Cleveland. Tell me where you screwed up.
Yeah.
You don't think that?
I don't think they did that.
Okay.
That's why they're the Atlanta Falcons, right? That's why they're Atlanta. I mean, good organizations, they put when they're bringing somebody in, they're putting them through the meat grinder. They're really testing them out. It's like the Marine Corps. Okay. That's why they're good organizations, because they have a culture. That culture is about winning. And I think, getting back to what I was saying about the Jets, you know what? I would look for a bad organization like the Jets, and I would cherry people that are just sick of losing. Look at what the Patriots did with Randy Moss. Look at what they did with Wes Welker. Who heard of Wes Welker? He's coming from another dysfunctional organization, the Miami Dolphins. They signed him in free agent. Nobody was interested in Wes Welker. But Josh McDaniel, working with Belichick, working with Scott Pioli, working with that great front office, they saw the potential there. This guy was a winner. You know what? Jarvis Landry. Was that a John Dorsey pick? I'd love to get a Jarvis Landry type player in this organization. A guy who will frickin' catch the ball, right? Guy had glue on his fingers. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting a vet receiver is definitely an important thing. I do have a list here of top 10 free agents currently.
Go ahead.
Just in the NFL, these are who's currently available as of this morning.
Trey Hendrickson, number one.
So, Kyler Murray at number one. Maybe not the best idea for the Browns, but Trey Hendrickson is still available.
You never know.
Bengals Ed. Tyreek Hill is available.
Oh, forget that.
Stephon Diggs.
Nope.
Joey Bosa.
Yeah, I'd take him.
Aaron Jones. Probably don't
Joey
need him.
Bosa gets hurt a lot, right?
He has been recently, yeah. Romeo Doubs from the Packers.
I like him. He's good.
What position?
Wide receiver.
Receiver. He's a young guy.
And he plays in the cold.
Mm-hmm. Njoku,
You know what? It's going to be fascinating to see where he lands.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last couple of years, he's been hurt a lot.
Dallas Goedert is there from the Eagles, I believe. He's a good blocking and receiving tight end. And then the former All-Pro corner, Tariq Woolen, is also available.
What about the Packers tackle? Is he still available? He's the big offensive lineman who's still out there. His last name's Walker.
Walker.
I heard something and on this football podcast I really like, and I think there are definitely some exceptions, but good teams don't let good players off their team.
Right.
So yeah, that's great. Zion Johnson seems like a good fit. Is he the next Joel Bitonio? Probably not.
I don't know.
This guy we got from the Texans, it was a trade. Is he the next Joe Thomas? Probably not. Is he going to be good? Yeah. So it's like, I think in theory, and like the other big thing that happened on Friday while I was sick with the stomach bug was Max Crosby being traded from the Raiders to the Ravens.
Yeah, that was a good pickup for the Ravens.
And the Ravens have never traded a first-round pick, I think, ever since since they stole our team.
Right.
And everyone was like, oh, Baltimore won the trade, home run. And this guy did like a study and was like, like 9 times out of 10, the team that trades the talented player wins the trade.
Yeah, but this is the Raiders. This is like the Jet. This is a bad organization. So I think the Ravens,
they got to win now.
Yeah, they're winning now.
I don't think Lamar wants to sit around, do any type of rebuild.
And Max Crosby is going to bring the juice. He's going to bring that no bullshit kind of. But again, we're indulging in magical thinking, Cleveland Browns Nation, which is we're going to get that free agent and he's going to change everything instead of looking at the structural head coach organization where you're getting you're recognizing that talent. I like what Andrew Berry did with that Texan pickup because the more I read, it seems like the Texans have this thing where if you get close to 30, they just jettison you.
Well, it's weird because their offensive line was their biggest weakness.
Yeah.
And this guy was by far their best lineman. So it's like, why are you trading your best
If I'm
lineman?
CJ Stroud, I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, my God.
They made no moves, too, so far in free.
I think so far it's like the Browns in free agency have made pickups that are going to be good.
Yeah.
They didn't overpay like the Raiders did for that center from Baltimore, gave him this historic contract, and everyone's like, oh, the Raiders, they've won free agency. It's like, pump the brakes. You're picking first overall.
Well, do you remember when the Browns picked up OBJ?
Yeah,
I mean, it was nonstop. The Browns smoked it in the draft and free agency. And then here comes OBJ, who should have been a very good wide receiver. And Stefanski just let him run wild.
Well, first was Freddie.
Or Freddie. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, the coaching was terrible. With OBJ. You know, at least with Jarvis and Baker, you got rid of Hugh Jackson, and the Browns just took off with Greg Williams and Freddie as the OC. You know, I mean, that was a great. I mean, they should have kept Greg Williams. I mean, they were doing well, but of course, the Browns, you know, they want to get a young guy with no head coaching experience, Kevin Stefanski, and they had a great amount of talent. Young Nick Chubb, Jarvis, Baker, great line, right? They had Miles and Alex Van Pelt, you know, as the OC.
I don't think the no head coaching experience, that shouldn't be a factor. There's plenty of head coaches in the NFL who have been successful having no experience.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll give you on. But look at Dan Campbell. I mean, did he have any head coaching experience?
No. Guy from Houston, D'Amico Ryan.
Yeah, and then the guy from
Jackson,
the Bears.
Yeah.
So
I think it really just comes down to, it's not just one thing. But I definitely think head coach has to have that ability, like what Quinshawn said, to be vocal, clear, and not be afraid to get in someone's face.
Exactly. Right. I think, I'll walk that back a little. You know, being a former head coach is not necessarily the be all end all, but you've got to be mindful of when you're in the interviewing process, what are the questions you're asking? Can you call out a player? Do you have the ability to call out a player? Do you have the ability to make an example of a player? I mean, look at what Sean Payton did with Russell Wilson. I mean, he abused that his first year. He made him an example. Bill Parcells used to do that and I'm sure Sean Payton learned from Bill Parcells. He used to single out guys and just make their life miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that, stuck around, there was a great running back when Parcells was with the Jets. No, maybe he was with the Patriots, and he came over with Parcells when he went to the Jets. And this guy became almost a Hall of Fame running back. Forget his name. But he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to Bill Parcells. You changed my life. Head coaches have to work from a toolbox of emotive skills. They're in their face, they're supporting, they're sitting down, but they're in charge. And I don't think Stefanski had that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And most of the Browns head coaches from Pat Shurmur on were. So, but I like where we're going. Who out there is a second tier wide receiver?
Romeo Doubs on the Packers.
How old is he? What's the bio on him?
He's like late 20s.
He's 25 years old.
That's a good age.
4-year tenure with the Packers. He's a former 4th-round pick in 2022. Career-wise, he has 3.3 thousand yards, 26 downs.
And on the Packers, and I know Mac would agree with this, from a fantasy football perspective, they have a lot of wide receivers, but you never know which receiver of theirs is like, who's the number one?
Yeah.
Who do I draft here? So I think with Romeo Doubs, it's like that wide receiver room is getting so cluttered that they're like, we can't afford to pay
right.
this. So I think that's why, he's going to be available.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a Jarvis Landry type guy who's going to, when they got Judy, they were thinking that, who was our former wide receiver?
Amari Cooper.
Yeah. That 2 guys from Alabama and Amari was going to mentor Jerry Jeudy. That did not happen. Amari was already looking for the exits for another, redo my contract, extend. And they finally just had to let him go. So he was toxic. He was no Jarvis Landry. They need somebody who's going to be like Max Crosby's going to be with the Ravens. He's going to be vocal.
You need a leader in that room.
Yeah.
And I think I still remember that one scene from when the Browns were when they were on the Hard Knocks show. This was when Baker got drafted. It was when Hugh was still there and Corey Coleman. Remember Corey Coleman?
Yeah.
He was just dropping everything. He was slipping. He was dropping. And,
he was a high draft pick too.
He was a number 1 pick by Sashi Brown and Andrew Berry. But there's this scene, because in Hard Knocks, you've got all the cameras in the corner.
Right.
So after a while, players probably forget that it's even there. And they're in the wide receiver room, and coach is going over the practice and the film, and he was like, okay, I think we're done. And Jarvis was like, we're not done. I need to say something. And I think we should insert that clip or play it, but I mean...
Yeah, let's insert that, Mark.
Let me say something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what the fuck been going on here, and I don't know why it's been going on here, but if you're not hurt, like if your hamstring ain't falling off the fucking bone, your leg ain't broke, I don't know, like you should be fucking practicing. Like straight up. Like that shit is weakness, and that shit is contagious as fuck. And that shit ain't gonna be in this room, bruh. That shit been here in the past, and that's why the past has been like it is, bruh. That shit is over with here, bruh. If you can fucking practice. You can't get no better. Ain't nobody gonna get better by being on the fucking sideline if you ain't fucking hurt. If you not fucking hurt, you gotta fucking practice. Because you make other motherfuckers work even fucking harder. Now they had more fucking risk of getting hurt because you don't want fucking practice. Because you being a bitch. Straight up, man, that shit is fucking real, bruh. That shit ain't happening here. I'm just letting y'all niggas know that shit not fucking happening here. I'm hurting, I'm tired just like every fucking body in this motherfucker. But I ain't taking no motherfucking days off because I can't be fucking great that way. That gotta be the fucking attitude and the mentality all the fucking time. All that weak shit don't fucking live here no more. That shit don't exist. It's contagious, bro. Like, it's really fucking contagious.
You did not, at the time, trade for or sign Jarvis Landry solely for his skills as a wide receiver. You signed him to be a leader. And that wide receiver room needs someone who's going to hold these people accountable.
Exactly.
Besides Todd Monken.
Yeah.
You know who's available?
Who
kind of Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen is tough. Was he with the Chargers?
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to...
He's with the Bears. Not a disaster, but he just didn't vibe well there.
I mean, he's a bit older in terms of his production. Like, it's fallen off a bit, but...
How old is he?
He's 33.
Oh, wow, that's ancient.
But I think just locker room presence-wise, like, that's the type of guy. You could probably get him for cheap.
For a 1 year. That's an Andrew Berry. Maybe a 5th rounder.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's still available.
Yeah, we need that. We need that somebody who's going to not put up with the Corey Coleman and the Jerry Jeudy, you know. And Monken, Monken's going to bring the heat. that Stefanski didn't. We need a little bit more Sean Payton pepper, salt and pepper in there.
I think you're going to get that.
Yeah.
Monken.
So, I mean, again, I'm so glad Monken's here. Monken is an older coach who's seen it all, right? Seen it all. You know, and that's Lombardi. Keep going back to my Lombardi story. Comes in 58, and they were 1-12 or 1-13 or something like 1-13, and they had on that team 10 Hall of Famers, all pros. You know, Starr, Taylor, Horning, Jerry Kramer, Forrest Gray, Ray Nitschke.
Who?
I mean, really, these guys are all Hall of Fame players, and Lombardi made them better. So head coaching with the right person who's coming from a dysfunctional organization, just wants to. Now the Bears are not a dysfunctional organization, so I have
they were
some yellow flag.
Let's pump them. They were. I mean, up until when. I mean, they had a lot of things fall into the right place, and now they're on track. I think the other thing too with Monken, I keep forgetting about that. He's been here.
Yeah,
he's seen dysfunction,
and so has
he's seen what happened when Freddie Kitchens
Warhop
had a plan.
Yeah,
and been like, nah, we're gonna do some flea flicker bullshit, and we're just gonna abandon.
You know, I know we're going long in this podcast, but let me just interrupt. That's a great point, Brooke. Where is Jimmy Haslam? Right? I mean, he should be kind of like, what's going on here? I thought we had this plan. What are you doing, Freddie? Getting the GM and the head coach. And, you know, there's a fine line you walk as an owner. You don't want to be, you know, Jerry Jonesing it, you know, on the sidelines. But on the other hand, this is dysfunctional. What kind of message is that sending? You know, and then you got to look at that. That's the thing, Jimmy. These guys like Freddie have never been a head coach. Hugh Jackson. Hugh, what are you doing? Going after that quarterback that Sashi took a bullet for. You don't have to be a genius GM to see that this is dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if we want to get some consensus, let's get some consensus over how collectively are we going to manage. I mean, we do that here at work. I mean, we get a guy that comes in, is not dressed right, who's smelling of booze, right?
Yes.
Everybody knows that.
It's not rocket science.
Everybody shares a common vision here. Doesn't seem to be a common vision except striving for McKinsey-like consensus. All right? And that's what I'm hoping Monken's going to do. He's seen the good, bad, ugly in Cleveland. He knows Jimmy Haslam, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows Andrew Berry. And he hopefully will be a little bit of a guardrail.
Who, Jimmy?
Todd Monken.
Oh.
In terms of the culture. And that's what we really need. And that's going to make everybody better. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's end on that note.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.